Okay, let's get into this. You know that feeling when you kind of look around your house, your living room, whatever, and you just see so many connected
Right.
things.
Yeah.
Your TV, maybe smart lights, maybe even, I don't know, some kid's toy that needs the Wi-Fi password.
Right.
It really makes you think, doesn't it? Like, what's actually going on with all that data flying around?
It absolutely does.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what we're digging into today. You sent over this really um, detailed dissertation,
Yeah.
Advancing the Hegemony of Surveillance Capitalism, a critical discourse analysis of surveillance representations in media, at Temple University. Bit of a mouthful, but basically it looks hard at how news, how ads talk about these technologies that won't watch us.
Exactly. So instead of just that vague, uneasy feeling about our gadgets, we're going to focus on how the media actually shapes how we think about surveillance. So our mission today, I guess, is to pull out the main stories, the hidden messages, maybe, and how this stuff is presented.
Yeah.
What are they telling us about being watched, and what does it mean for, everyday life?
That's it, precisely. And, well, to really get a handle on why these portrayals matter,
Mhm.
we kind of need to understand this term first, surveillance capitalism.
Okay.
Shoshana Zuboff really defined this. She explained it as um, basically a system where all the digital stuff we produce just by living our lives online or with connected devices,
Hmm.
that data gets captured.
Right.
And then it's turned into a commodity, something to be bought and sold, used for profit. So it's not just you using a service, your interaction itself becomes raw material.
Okay, so it's bigger than the old idea of like Big Brother just watching you from above.
Oh,
It's
get it.
different.
It's much broader, yeah. Simone West pointed out this shift, We went from mostly selling things online, e-commerce, to a model where the real business is selling access to our data, mainly through advertising.
Yeah.
The first internet wave was buying stuff. Now it's about understanding us, predicting us, maybe even nudging our behavior, all based on these data trails we leave.
That makes sense. It's that phrase the dissertation mentioned, right? Data as the new oil.
Exactly. That's from Brown.
Every time you plug in a new smart gadget, it's like drilling another well for this valuable information about you.
That's the core idea. And look, there are laws meant to protect us, the Fourth Amendment in the U.S., IPA for health info, CCPA in California, GDPR in Europe, FCRA for credit stuff.
Oh, right. There are rules.
There are. But the problem is technology moves so fast, it often outpaces the regulations. People invent new ways to collect and use data that the existing rules just didn't anticipate.
Okay, so this data collection is happening often in the background. How does the media then get us to accept or even want all these surveillance tools?
Well, one of the most powerful tools the dissertation highlights is fear, using fear strategically.
Ah,
Both ads and news outlets tap into our anxieties, our worries, to position surveillance tech as the solution.
fear definitely works, doesn't it? Sort of shortcuts the rational brain.
It really does. Sarnoff and Zimbardo talked about this. Fear triggers that primal fight or flight response.
Mm.
And you see it all the time in news coverage, right? After events like 9/11 or during tense elections, pandemics, even bad weather events, as folks like Leon and Bellman have written about. When anxiety is high, people tend to consume more media.
And how does that sell surveillance specifically? Got an example?
The dissertation really focuses on the Ring doorbell, a key case study.
Okay, yeah, I see those everywhere.
So back in 2017, their website, the dissertation, shows some images, figures 2 to 5. It plastered the word security everywhere.
Right.
And the images showed, happy families, delivery people,
Yeah.
but also these kind of shadowy, suspicious-looking figures lurking nearby.
Playing on that worry about who's outside your door, the peace of mind thing.
Totally. And then there's the Ring Neighbors app. It's framed as this friendly digital neighborhood watch.
Right, share your footage, see what others post.
Exactly. But the underlying message, the dissertation argues, is really clear. Security is surveillance. Surveillance is security. They become interchangeable.
So they make you feel a little less safe, maybe exaggerate the threat slightly, and then here's the product, the camera, as the obvious fix.
That's the mechanism. And the dissertation also talks about Ring's partnerships with police departments,
Oh, right.
often presented in the news as this great way to solve crimes like package theft. Porter wrote about that.
Yeah, the porch pirate problem. That narrative makes Ring seem like this community tool fighting crime together.
It absolutely does.
Ah.
And interestingly, the dissertation notes that Amazon, which owns Ring, really benefited from that story.
Mm-hmm.
Even if solid data on how widespread package theft actually was might have been, well, less clear-cut. But the feeling of vulnerability boosted by media stories was enough. It drove sales and made having a camera pointed out from your door seem normal, even necessary.
When you lay it out like that,
Yeah,
it's a bit chilling. Does this fear tactic apply elsewhere?
it does. The dissertation mentions, though more briefly, the Apple Watch and Aetna partnership.
Health data.
Yeah, it's what some call soft surveillance. You agree to share your health data, activity levels, whatever, in return for rewards or lower insurance costs.
Yeah.
And the framing there is often about health, wellness, even potentially, saving your life, as one article put it. It's less about immediate physical threats, more about the fear of illness or poor health, still leveraging anxiety.
Okay, so fear is definitely one big strategy. What's another way they make these things seem normal, even desirable?
Another major theme the dissertation pulls out is this appeal to optimization.
Optimization, like making things better, faster, more efficient.
Exactly that. It taps into this deep-seated desire most of us have to improve things, streamline our lives. This idea isn't new, of course. It goes back to Taylorism in the early 20th century factory efficiency, time motion studies. Taylor wrote about maximizing productivity. The dissertation argues that same logic, that same appeal, is now applied to us, to our homes, through surveillance tech. We're encouraged to optimize ourselves.
How did that show up in the media we see?
Well, think about all those tech guides you see.
Mm.
The New York Times, Consumer Reports, places like that.
Yeah, best smart home gadgets.
Right? They push the idea of the connected smart home as super convenient, sometimes even suggesting it adds value to your house.
Uh-huh.
But what's often downplayed or missing entirely in these glowing reviews is a serious look at the surveillance that makes it all work. Who's collecting the data? What are they doing with it?
Right. It's focused on the cool stuff, controlling your lights from your phone, not the data harvesting behind the scenes.
Precisely.
Yeah.
The dissertation even mentions this almost comical image, I think, from Morrissey, of a guy using his smartphone to control his smart kitchen appliances while standing right next to them. But the emphasis is on the technological mediation, the optimization of the task, however tiny or arguably unnecessary. It's about the image of efficiency.
So they sell this vision of a smooth, frictionless, super efficient life, all thanks to these devices, and maybe that distracts from the constant monitoring.
That's a really key point the dissertation makes, and it uses specific products to show this, like the Snoo Smart Bassinet.
Oh yeah, the fancy robot cradle.
Right. Marketed, as Kovac reported, for optimizing the baby's sleep, which in turn optimizes the parent's time and rest. It's about efficiency.
Okay.
Or, another example, the Naked Labs body scanner. It literally scans your body in 3D.
Wow.
And the whole pitch is about optimizing your body, your fitness, using all this detailed data it collects.
I can see the appeal, using data to get the perfect result, whether it's sleep or fitness.
Exactly. And it goes beyond just optimizing yourself. The dissertation talks about lateral surveillance.
Lateral, as in side to side.
Yeah. It means these technologies encourage us to monitor each other. Peer-to-peer surveillance.
Ah, like the Neighbors app again?
Precisely. Or think about neighborhood groups on social media sharing doorbell footage.
Yeah.
Ring itself talked about creating a networked digital neighborhood watch. It reframes being a good citizen as actively participating in this mutual monitoring.
So it's not just the company watching us or the police. We're encouraged to watch each other, too.
That's the concept. And the dissertation points to Ring's own promo videos, often showing nice suburban settings, often with white heterosexual couples, presenting this shared surveillance as a positive community activity.
Making it seem normal, even virtuous, to be constantly watching and sharing footage of your surroundings and neighbors.
Exactly. Framing it as community safety, neighbors helping neighbors. It subtly masks the bigger picture of constant data gathering and the potential downsides, like profiling or mistakes.
This is really shifting how I think about these things. So the news media, how do they fit into this? Are they just reporting or playing a bigger role?
Well, the dissertation argues it's complicated. The whole news business has changed a lot, right? Economic pressures.
Yeah, shrinking newsrooms, the struggle for revenue.
Right. And that, according to scholars like McManus and Gans, has led to lines blurring between news content and advertising or sponsored content.
You definitely see more of that. Best Buys, product roundups.
Exactly. And you have the rise of lifestyle journalism, focused on consumer choices, products, self-improvement, and technology journalism, which, let's face it, often has pretty close ties to the tech industry it covers. Sources, access, review units.
Right.
So product reviews, especially if they have affiliate links where the publication gets a cut if you buy, they can function almost like sales pitches. Hamami and others wrote about that.
So there's kind of a built-in incentive, maybe not to be too harsh on the products that bring in ad money or affiliate clicks.
That's a core part of the argument.
Yeah.
And it leads to this concept the dissertation calls weightless criticism.
Weightless
No,
criticism.
meaning critique that, yeah, it mentions privacy or surveillance issues, but it doesn't really have any heft.
Hmm.
It doesn't fundamentally challenge the product or the underlying system. It just sort of floats there weightlessly.
Okay, that's a great term. Like acknowledging a flaw, but not letting it really count against the product overall. Can you give examples?
Sure. The dissertation points to several. Maybe your review of Google Home briefly says, oh, some people worry about privacy, but then spends paragraphs raving about features and ends saying, we hope they improve the privacy controls.
Right. A quick mention, then back to the good stuff.
Exactly. Or Amazon Echo reviews that might put the privacy discussion way at the end, almost as an afterthought, and maybe rhetorically downplay any incidents that happen.
Minimizing the risk.
Yeah. Or reviews of Ring doorbells that quote, the company's PR statement shifting blame for security flaws onto users, oh, you didn't use a strong enough password.
Passing the buck.
Right. Even articles in big papers, like one mentioned from the Washington Post about connected appliances. It acknowledges data collection, but then quickly pivots to the upside, the convenience.
Always framing it as a trade-off where convenience usually wins.
That's often how it's presented.
Yeah.
There was another article mentioned, I think by Mosman, about Alexa becoming like a friend in the home. It touches on surveillance concerns, but ultimately positions them as just the price you pay for all the integration and usefulness.
So this weightless criticism basically ticks the box. Yes, we mentioned privacy, but it doesn't really push back hard. It ends up reinforcing the idea that this level of surveillance is just normal, acceptable.
That's exactly the argument. It contributes to the normalization by not offering a substantial counter-narrative.
Wow. Okay. So summing this up,
Well,
we're constantly being sold surveillance, offered by playing on our fears about safety or by appealing to our desire for efficiency and optimization. And the media, especially tech and lifestyle journalism, plays this complex role, sometimes offering criticism, but often in a way that lacks real impact, this weightless criticism, which ultimately just helps make it all seem okay.
that's a great summary of the core arguments in the dissertation, yes.
Mhm.
The seemingly nice features, the convenience, the security promises, they often hide this deeper engine of data extraction and behavioral prediction that is surveillance capitalism.
Okay, this has definitely been eye-opening. The real takeaway, the aha moment for me, is seeing how these narratives, fear, optimization, even the weak criticism, all work together to prop up this much bigger system without us always noticing.
Exactly. So maybe the thought to leave you with is this. The next time you see an ad or read a review for some new smart device, really look at the story it's telling.
Mm-hmm.
Is it playing on fear,
Mm.
promising optimization? How is it framing security or convenience?
Mm-hmm.
And then ask yourself, what's the other story? What's happening beneath that surface narrative? And what does it mean for us as a society if this kind of constant monitoring just becomes normal?
That's definitely something to chew on. Thanks. This was a really insightful deep dive.